What's going on? Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports, and I got a six-pack of Steelers rumors ready to crack open. And what better way to get this one rolling is with running back James Conner, and is he going to be out multiple weeks? NFL Network's Ian Rappaport reported James Conner could miss multiple weeks due to an ankle injury. This isn't a huge surprise with Conner potentially dealing with this high ankle sprain, but the Steelers ultimately want to be cautious with their young running back who has actually played pretty well filling in for the Le'Veon Bell who, did not decide to come. But the reason why this is a little interesting is because on December 4th, Tomlin came out and said that the injury isn't expected to be all too serious. And when I hear not too serious, I don't think miss multiple weeks. So with Rappaport coming out and saying this, that he could miss multiple weeks, maybe we could be looking at a more severe injury. He is going to miss Week 14 against the Raiders, but luckily it's the Raiders. So with the Raiders this season not doing all that hot, and we know that for a fact. They're 2-10 this year, but this game is in Oakland. The Oakland Raiders are giving up the most rushing yards per game with 153.3 on the ground. So I guess if there's going to be a time for the Steelers to look at maybe a running back like Jaylen Samuels or Stevan Ridley, maybe this is the time to do it. And if you want to bet on the Steelers Raiders or any NFL game the entire season, there's only one place to do it. It's at BetDSI. Go to chatsports.com/bet. It's that link below right next to Play Now, chatsports.com/bet. Remember to use our promo code LIVE120 for 120% deposit bonus. Mitch, what does that mean? You put down $50, you get $60 for free. You put down $100, get $120 for free. Be a big baller. Put down $500, get $600 for free. Shout out to BetDSI for hooking us up with the best promo code on the internet. Next rumor coming up here on the board, it's around James Conner again. And is he going to return Week 15? I thought this was funny because Ian Rappaport came out and said, as I just stated in my last rumor, that he's going to miss multiple weeks. And literally 45 minutes later on Sunday morning, December 9th, Adam Schefter is like, nah. Yes, he could be potentially dealing with an ankle sprain, but he could return in Week 15. And I love the fact that Rappaport and Schefter are kind of battling this one out a little bit. And despite the ankle report, we know Conner's not 100% healthy, but if there's a chance for him to come back in Week 15, that would be a huge boost for the Steelers, who are going to be entering a really tough part of their schedule. They play the Patriots in Week 15, which is a team that they have not been able to get by. You're looking at James Conner, his season stats. He's been a great all-around running back for this Pittsburgh Steelers team. 201 carries, 909 rushing yards, but also 12 rushing touchdowns. And sure, Le'Veon Bell was dynamic, but I'll tell you what, I'll pay James Conner what he's making over Le'Veon Bell what he wanted to make any day of the week. So I want to know from you, because Schefter and Rappaport are battling this one out a little bit. Who do you trust more? When you see a tweet come out, when you see information come out, who do you trust more? I want you to type R for Rappaport or type S for Schefter. If you really want to win some brownie points, type M for Mitch. Who do you trust more? I want to know from you. Next rumor coming up here on the board around the Steelers, it's around Jaylen Samuels. And I just talked about James Conner could be potentially missing Week 15, and he could even miss more than that. And I know for a fact he's not going to play in Week 14. With this being said, there's a lot of different reports around what the Steelers are going to do with their backfield. It has been reported that Samuels will get the bulk of the carries, but that is a conflicting report that came out December 5th when Samuels was reportedly going to split time with Stevan Ridley. And that report was from Jeremy Fowler. So, again, a lot of mixed signals going on here with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and heck, there's been a lot of mixed signals with the Steelers all season. But I still think that Jaylen Samuels is ultimately going to be the main running back for the Steelers going forward. He had 12 carries, 31 yards. He is a rookie, but I think he has a lot of upside. Stevan Ridley here, when you look at his career stats, they might look a little bit better than Samuels, obviously, but he's had one season with the Patriots where he had 12 rushing touchdowns, and really since then has not been very good, and he has not been productive whatsoever the last few years for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I want to know from you. You saw Ridley's stats. You saw Samuel's stats. Should the Steelers give Samuels the bulk of the carries? I want you to type Y for yes or type N for no. If you're a fantasy football fan like me, I'm typing my Y for yes because your boy picked up Jaylen Samuels in multiple fantasy football leagues. So Steelers, if you're watching, give the bulk of the carries to Jaylen Samuels. Also, I think he's a lot better than Stevan Ridley. Next rumor coming up here on the board is around the quarterback, and it's Ben Roethlisberger. And is he the best quarterback in Steelers history? Ben Roethlisberger has had a remarkable Hall of Fame career, everything from long winning streaks to winning Rookie of the Year, and heck, 2 Super Bowl titles. But SB Nation came out and said that he is the greatest Steelers quarterback of all time. Now, he does have 2 Super Bowls, but no NFL MVPs. But when I think of all-time Steeler great quarterbacks, I think it's between him and Terry Bradshaw. So right up here on the screen here, I'm comparing both of these quarterbacks. And sure, Ben has basically double the amount of passing yards and has a lot more passing touchdowns and actually has fewer interceptions. But we always look at Super Bowl wins when it comes to quarterbacks, whether we're going to agree with that or not. Ben's got 2, Terry Bradshaw has 4. And then in terms of MVPs, Bradshaw has 1 and 0. Now I'm going to say this. If you like stats, yeah, there's no doubt I think Big Ben's the easy favorite here. But at the end of the day, like, this is such a different NFL league that we play in. Heck, you can't even hit a quarterback in today's league. And I think defenses back in the day were just a lot more tougher and it was a lot just more of a different league. So I don't want to look at just stats. So ultimately, I'm going to ask you guys, okay? Who is the best or greatest Steelers quarterback of all time? I want you to type T for Terry or type B for Big Ben. And hey, if you want to know what I think, I want you to DM me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. I'll give you what I think. But greatest Steelers quarterback ever, I want to know from you. Next rumor up here on the board, the Steelers are not going to win the AFC North. Currently, they're sitting at 7-4-1 with only a half-game lead over the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens won the first meeting 26-14, but the Steelers won the second meeting. And I think when you're looking at who's going to win the AFC North, the Bengals, they're done. The Browns, go figure, they're done. It's between the Steelers and Ravens yet again. Here's the issue for the Steelers, though. Their schedule gets pretty tough. Now, Week 14, cupcake. And, yeah, if you guys watch my Raiders report, hopefully you don't get mad. But I think they're going to walk into the Oakland, and they're going to get away with an easy win. But Week 15 against the Patriots, I understand this game's in Pittsburgh, but if there's one team that has given the Steelers trouble year in and year out, it's the New England Patriots. And then you got to go into New Orleans and try to beat Drew Brees and the Saints. Good luck there. Week 17 against the Bengals, I think they can get a win there. But right now I'm looking at it, that's 2 wins and 2 losses. So if the Ravens can take care of business, they would ultimately win the AFC North. Week 14 against the Chiefs, they are currently losing from what I've understood, but the Chiefs, one of the best teams in the NFL. Then you look at the Bucs. Home against the Bucs, I think, is a win for the Ravens. At the Chargers, that's going to be a really tough game. The Chargers playing solid football. Heck, they just beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Great comeback win, down 23-7. That's going to be a tough game. And then Week 17 against the Browns, I think that they win that game. I'm looking at the board there. If they can beat the Chargers and go 3-1, guess what? Ravens are going to be the AFC North champs. So I want to know from you. Who's going to win the AFC North? We got type S for Steelers or type R for Ravens. The Steelers have won the AFC North the last 3 years, but it's been basically Ravens and Steelers, I don't know, last 5 years in terms of winners. So when you're looking at the Bengals, they're done. The Browns, they're done. So who's going to win the AFC North? Type S for Steelers or type R for Ravens? I'm just saying, things aren't looking so good for the Steelers, just like what they were maybe just a week ago. Hey, speaking of looking good, I think I look pretty good in my Miz and a Main shirt, and you guys can too. Go to www.comfortable.af, and I get asked all the time, Mitch, why is it comfortable.af? Because these shirts are literally comfortable as F. If you don't know what AF looks up, look it up, Mom, because I've been asked multiple times. Miz and a Main, these shirts are amazing, stretchy, and they soak up all your sweat even when you're on camera. So Miz and a Main, thanks for making me look pretty good. Next rumor coming up here, and it's around Mike Tomlin. And if the Steelers don't win the AFC North or don't make the playoffs, is he going to be fired? This one's a rumor coming out from Clutch Points, and I think it's an interesting one. So, again, if they don't win the AFC North, Clutch Points writes that the Steelers are ultimately going to end up firing Mike Tomlin. And when you look at the last 9 postseason games for the Steelers, Tomlin's 4-5. And the one thing that I think is really interesting, though, Clutch Points makes is he doesn't really hold his players accountable. I mean, we've seen a lot of things happen with, we'll say, Ben Roethlisberger throughout his career, and then also Le'Veon Bell this season, and heck, Antonio Brown, he's been known to be a diva. So maybe Mike Tomlin doesn't have all that much control of his locker room, and I think he started to point the finger at other coaches. Now, he has been there for 12 years, and his win percentage is 66%. He's got 123 wins in his career. His playoff record is 8-7 with 1 Super Bowl win, but his first 5 years with the Steelers were really successful. Now let's look at since 2010. The regular season has still been great. 80-43. Heck, he's never had a losing season. His worst season ever as Steelers head coach is at 8-8. But 3-5 in the playoffs, 3 division titles since 2010, and 0 Super Bowl wins. When you don't win Super Bowls for a franchise like the Pittsburgh Steelers, people start to ask questions, especially when you have apparently the greatest quarterback of all time for the Steelers. Probably the best wide receiver in the NFL and one of the best running backs in the NFL with Le'Veon Bell. So Should the Steelers fire Mike Tomlin? I want you to give me an F for fire or K for keep. If they do not win the AFC North and they don't make the playoffs, I can almost guarantee you he's going to get fired. But the Steelers, for some reason, have just not been able to fire coaches in the past. They seem to hold on to him. I like Tomlin's personality, but I do think he is a little bit overrated. You give me Antonio Brown, you give me Big Ben, and give me Le'Veon Bell for a few years, I'm going to win some regular season games too. I want to give a shout out to everybody watching. If you liked what you saw today, give me a follow on Twitter @MitchellRens365, and I'll be back with more Steelers rumors a little bit later on in the week.